Hi, I'm Jason,
I'm Pete.
and this is JAPE HEX.
Welcome.
It is. Finally, yes, we are. Yes, we are. Okay, yes, we are officially recording. Yes. Yes. Like 80% on that. Say something.
Saying something?
Okay, we're good. Yeah, just make sure your
Yes,
audio
we're
didn't
good.
drop out.
Okay. Well, for the better part of 30 years, I've been using online sources for Christmas shopping. I have a formula basically. If you're of the child persuasion, I go to Amazon because they do the gift wrapping for me because I suck at it. Um, and if you're a grown ass man, woman, what have you, then I go to this. I've been ordering from this smokehouse in Wisconsin called Nueski's. They are amazing. I think they won a national award for their bacon. They smoke most of their stuff in applewood.
Is there a national award for bacon?
There is.
Awesome.
There is.
Please go
Oh
ahead.
yeah. And anywho, they've never let me down. 3 decades I've been using them. They never let me down. I considered that COVID was going to cause some issues. So, I mean, normally my rule of thumb, and it, again, served me well, not a problem. 30 years, give or take, never a problem. But my rule of thumb was, as long as I was in single digits December-wise, I'm good. So, once I saw December 10th come around, then I'd be like, I gotta go. Where's the computer? Go online, quick. But they got my whole address book in there, and I usually, like I said, I'm very formulaic with it. If you're a single person, I typically send you a small smoked avian of some type, a duck or a couple of chickens or a pheasant maybe. I like to say that I express my affection much in the same way as a common house cat, by presenting a dead bird. Like, here, take a dead bird. And those dead birds, again, magnificent. If you are a couple, no kids, then I go to the high end of the dead bird spectrum, because they'll smoke a whole turkey there. So, and I got a great story about how I managed to save Christmas Eve for a cousin of mine. But and then I start going to breakfast baskets. If you're a couple with kids, and if you're a couple with one kid, I'll go this one. Couple with 2 kids, I'll go that one. Because they got these awesome breakfast baskets. They'll have enough like a actual cloth sack full of pancake mix that is enough for a couple of dozen pancakes. Some pure maple syrup, the real stuff. Some of their award-winning bacon in there. Sometimes there's a ham steak. Sometimes there's a some corned beef hash, whatever. Everything's smoked, and I'll have maybe some honey and some jams and just a good hearty breakfast, And there are. God, I'm getting choked up now because there's have been a couple of friends, family members who have told me just straight up that this has basically become part of their tradition. When they wake up the morning after Christmas, they know that they're going to open up a box from Uncle Pete, and it's going to have a nummy breakfast in there, and all the stuff is going to be great, and it's going to make the kitchen smell fantastic, and it's going to put Dad in a good mood, and it just broke my heart this year when so I was worried about COVID, so I ignored my rule of thumb about being in the single digits of December. I ordered on Thanksgiving. I was down at school, nothing else to do, so I placed my orders on Thanksgiving Day. And on December 23rd, I received not one, not two, but 9 separate emails. I ordered for 9 different people, nine different entities. So I got 9 separate emails all at the same time saying we, regret to inform, so sorry, conditions beyond our blah blah blah. 2 things. Number one, that the gifts were not going to get there by Christmas. That they were going to that they were not going to be shipped until January 4th. If January 4th is a Monday, then that's what they said, January 4th.
Yeah, it's a Monday.
Yeah, so they're not even going to be shipped until January 4th, and that ticked me off. And then the other thing that they said in there was that they would have to be making substitutions. Now,
do they run out of birds?
There's plenty of times that I'm looking through their catalog online and I see that, something's out of stock. If something's out of stock, I don't order it. Like I said, if you're a young married couple, let's say you got one baby, so I'm looking at one of the smaller end breakfast baskets.
Yeah.
If it's out of stock, I'll go to the next tier on the breakfast baskets.
Yeah.
If something's out of stock, I don't order it. Everything was in stock when I ordered it, and they said, that I needed to check the terms and conditions that I agreed to when I put the little check mark inside the box. That you can't place the order. It simply will not let you place the order without the check mark in that box. And the little hyperlink next to that box that says terms and conditions takes you to like a 300-page online document that's got all their stuff. And I did focus on the one part of it that does say, as a matter of fact, they do reserve the right to make substitutions. Here's the thing, though. They never have. This is the first time it's ever happened. Not only did they swap up on the orders, but everything's coming later than it should. It's not going to make it there by Christmas. It's not going to make it there by New Year's. Kids are going to be in school again by the time stuff gets there.
Yeah.
And I did get a call from a friend, single guy. So I sent him some smoked chickens, and he got what I ordered for him. So hooray!
Mm-hmm.
But I just now got a call from a friend of mine down in St. Louis, who instead of this, he's got 2 kids, 2 bigger kids. They're my little goddaughter she's 21 years old now. She's in college, and their youngest is 15, I think. And how 15-year-old boys are. You can't throw enough food down there.
Good luck. 2 birds are enough.
So I send them, I ordered for them a mid-range, for as far as Noetzki's is concerned, a mid-range breakfast basket. And he just called me and said that instead of that big honking breakfast basket with all the different stuff on there, they sent him 2 packages of their triple thick bacon, triple thick cut bacon.
Yeah, like
which,
a
again,
half-inch thick or quarter-inch thick or something.
It's like steak. It's like bacon steak. It's so good. So they sent him two 2-pound packages of that. Mm-hmm. So they sent 4 pounds of bacon and a package of these Danish pastry things called kringles. That doesn't sound like when they said they have they reserve the right to substitute.
That's not equal substitution. I mean,
it says equal or greater value.
Yeah.
They say if they have to substitute, they're going to give you equal or greater value. This doesn't sound like equal.
No.
Certainly doesn't sound like greater.
Is that is that box 1 of like 4?
I don't know. Maybe I'll call them back after we're done. But oh man, December 23rd, I got those emails.
Let me ask you this.
I don't remember being that angry ever.
I can imagine, because they didn't find out December 23rd that was going to happen. They knew.
Right.
So let me ask you this: when you said you've been using these guys for 30 years, right?
Yeah. About 30. Yeah.
So let's say 25-ish. Do you
definitely more than 25.
Okay.
But whatever.
Do you have like the same account, or is it just a okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ordering that I do is so easy because, like I said, I'm formulaic with my purchases, and they've got, they have the address of everybody everybody, basically, they have my Christmas list. They have the list of, and like I said, if you're a little children type and you're on my Christmas list, then I typically will go to Amazon and get something from a STEM field that looks fun. And although, like I said, my little goddaughter, who's not so little anymore, I was at a lot. I just gave her a one of those. It's like a Visa card that you can. It's anywhere that you can use a Visa card. It's. I gave her money.
Yeah, it's pretty, honestly, if she's in her 20s, she probably appreciates that.
Yeah. So I essentially gave her $100 bill.
Yeah.
So.
I know that right now it's too late to fix any of it. Not that you couldn't do this, I have no doubt in your ability, but when the time is right and you reach out to customer service, it would behoove you to have all those years of transactions.
Right.
And say, all right, here you go. Oh, here's 3 decades.
Right.
Fix it.
Yeah.
2 packs of bacon and a pack of chips ain't going to cover a breakfast pack.
I think I typically drop between $700 and $800 a year at Nueski's, and somewhere around the $500 to $600 range at Amazon. Yeah. So let's say, for ease of calculation, let's say $750 a year. That's that's 7,005. That's 15 grand for 2 decades, and it has definitely been more than that.
That's a lot of poultry and pork and all kinds
a lot of dead animals there. And I again never had a problem with them before. If you want to look them up, if you're interested in the country's best bacon, give them, check them out online, and I'm still recommending them, to pretty much everybody who I don't hate. But
well, I mean, I know this was forever ago, but I remember you sent me something from there one time.
Yeah,
you sent me a couple. It was a couple of pheasants, I believe, and I'd never had pheasant before, and that was some of the best food I've ever eaten.
They do a great job.
They are fantastic, and I mean, I love how they shipped it, because I didn't know it was coming. There's a knock at my door, and there's this giant box, and it's like this super refrigerated, like dry ice package. I'm like, what in the world is this? And I say, oh,
they do everything right.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful, and I understand that they had. Hey, COVID has kicked everybody in the teeth, but this is some crap right here. The day before Christmas, when you order it on Thanksgiving, come on. We are living in a time when communication is simple. Don't wait till last minute.
Yeah, I'm thinking somebody messed up.
Yeah.
I'm actually wondering. Like I said, they normally have their stuff together. Yeah. Like if I order, like when I ordered those pheasants for you, if I order them, by December 14th, 15th, they'd make it to you by Christmas. Yeah. I'm wondering if I gave them too much time. I'm wondering if that order came in and then it went into the, hey, let's sit on this and wait for it, till it gets closer to Christmas pile. It's all conjecture. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, honestly, I would think it sounds like someone screwed up. To me, that's just what it sounds like. But again, like you said, we're guessing at that point.
Well, this is my once bitten. If I find out that they're maybe under new management or something, and I get hosed over next year too, I might be ending my relationship with them.
I didn't think about that, but you're right. If it's been 30 years, let's say I have no idea about this place, or maybe it's like a father-son team, and Junior doesn't want to carry on after.
Junior's an idiot.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm out, man. Give me some middle management in here. I'm going to go to the Bahamas for 6 months.
We got a Tommy Boy situation.
What'd you do? Yeah. Well, dude, I'm sorry that happened. That sucks.
Yeah. I haven't figured out how, but I'm going to blame you.
Oh, I kind of expected that, to be honest.
Yeah. It might be a while, but
I have faith in you. I know you'll come up with something.
I believe in me.
Yes. Well, aside from that, everything else, Christmassy wise, moderately okay.
Um, really not much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truthfully, personally, I love a quiet, relaxed,
Well,
no stress holiday.
this was more of a quiet, relaxed, depressing holiday because, you know, I haven't talked to either of my kids in a while, and they're not, you know, they haven't come to their senses yet and figured out that I've been the stable one throughout the whole process of the divorce and everything. But everybody that knows anything about psychology is telling me that it's coming. It's just, you know,
It takes time.
It's lonely in the meantime.
It is. It sucks.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from not first-hand experience, but they need time to recognize. I told you I have a friend who's gone through a divorce recently in the last 2 or 3 years, and
Yeah, you said.
yeah, he has been the stable one. He has been he was not the cause of the split. His obviously his ex was 30 some years of unfaithfulness, and not unsimilar to what you told me, off air. He had them. I mean, he had them, but he knew what it would do to his kids.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the paperwork drawn up, but it was one of those things where had he gone to court, yeah, it's gonna wreck everything.
Would have gotten uglier and worse.
Yeah.
And there's this whole laundry list of stipulations in the divorce agreement that that they all sound like good things to follow, and when you see that she's basically been wiping her nose with them, the whole time, because the one that bites the deepest is the disparaging remarks. Because there were plenty of times that both of the kids were dissatisfied with the way that she was running things. They either had to do something they didn't want to do, they didn't get something that they did want, you name it, whatever, and they would occasionally even lash out, and say things about her, and I had to come down on them and say, hey, I understand you're mad, but you do not talk about your mother that way.
Yeah,
and then you think she was affording me the same courtesy?
Probably not.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay, so let me throw an outside perspective on that. You're being a parent still, and what do teenagers usually not get along with?
Right.
I mean, but
I know.
But in time, when how many times have we talked about how you're not fully baked until you're 25? I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's biological for starters.
yeah.
I mean, your brain is the last part of you that stops growing, and that doesn't stop until you're 25. And it's also evidenced in socioeconomic terms. There's word just fell right out of my head. My Uncle Dave is one, or was one before he retired. It starts with an A. I want to say apothecary, but I know that's completely wrong.
Anthropologist.
No. Basically, he worked had everything to do with insurance. Actuary.
Insurance. Con man?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, actuary.
Okay.
And he's the guy that compiles the data. He's the reason. No, not him personally, obviously, but he's the reason that you and I couldn't rent a car until we were 25. The data has been collected.
There's probably a couple of reasons for that, but go ahead.
Yeah, but like I said, that's socioeconomic evidence of a biological fact that you just don't have your shit together until you're 25, really. And the data has been collected, the evidence is there, it's irrefutable. That's why the car insurance companies, when you turn, what was it, like as far as State Farm is concerned, the worst thing in the world you could be is a 16-year-old boy
in a red convertible
with that all, yeah. So I mean, that's those are everything that they have to take into account when they're determining your rates, because that's all insurance is basically a big way of sharing the risk with a bunch of other people. And if you are providing more of the risk, then you have to provide more of the premiums,
Yep.
And yeah, this hasn't been done. Like I said, the data's been collected, the research is done, and it has not been done on a small scale. This is, how many people do you think have insurance policies with Progressive or State Farm or also whatever, all of the, the different ones? It's got to be millions on top of millions, right? Yeah.
Assuming they're all sharing data and there's some kind of great, aggregate
right.
or aggregation
Well,
of data. I mean, it's got to be enormous.
That's those actuaries. That was their job, to collect the data, tabulate it, run it through their, spreadsheets from hell, and it's been going on for decades now. The proof is there. If things changed, then they would change with it. If all of a sudden teenage girls had worse driving records than teenage boys, then they would flip that. And I mean, when I put my son on my car insurance, I actually encouraged him to stay on his permit for as long as possible, because as long as he's on his permit, whoever's in the car with him is the one who's the insurer. So that person who's insured. But as soon as he actually gets that driver's license, then he has to be the one insured. And when I put him on my insurance went up by, I want to say, 80%.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that was with all of the discounts. And that was another fun talk we had, which was you can get good grades and you'll get a good student discount.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. Totally a thing.
Yeah, you can take an online safety course, and that'll give you a discount. I think there was one other, or maybe it was just those two. But anyway, when I sat my boy down, I told him those discounts will happen.
It is a requirement for you to have
whether you pay me directly or you get the grades and take the class. I just showed him, this is how much my insurance is going to cost with you on it. This is how much my insurance is going to cost with you on it, and no discounts. You're going to make up that difference. You can do it by getting the grades, or you can do it by getting a job. But it's coming from you one way or the other. It's your call. So of course, he took the class.
Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
What's your question? You said your uncle was an actuary?
Yes.
Is he still an actuary?
No, he's got to be almost 80 years old now.
Oh, okay. I was just, sorry, sidebar. I was very curious about how the data changed once the smartphone became, I guess, what was that, 2006, 2003, when smartphones?
Oh,
I would love to see the data spike. I assume there's a spike.
Right.
So
and again, I think I don't know if it's the same for girls. It's got to be the same for girls. I think women text while driving. Like, if you take all the people that text while driving, women would make up like 60% of them.
And let's be clear, we're going off of the national average and stuff like that. It's not
right. Well, that just means that if you picked a random person,
mm-hmm.
and they said yes when you asked them if they text while driving, that person would be male 40% of the time.
Yeah.
You know,
I got you.
there's not that much of a difference
Yeah.
statistically, but it is there.
I would like to know.
So-
I would like to look. I mean, just if there's ever any way to check this stuff, just for the heck of it, I like to see what happened around 2000. I can't remember if it's 3 or 6 when smartphones became more prevalent. And
Good question.
I'd also like to look about. I think it was summer of 2016 when Pokemon Go came out.
Oh, crikey!
Listen, that was a
That was
cultural
huge.
event.
It was. It was. I mean, people were falling off of bridges, and when I say falling, I mean they were just walking straight off of bridges. I think there was a guy that got. I think he was actually prosecuted. He was in Times Square in New York City, and took up a position that was like as far away from the crowd as possible. Looked down at his phone, and you know, this was a prank. This was done completely on purpose. So he's got multiple camera angles looking at him. So he's like, okay, check. You're a good camera too. Okay, we're good. Okay, ready? Dragonite! Dragonite! Dragonite!
Oh my gosh.
The tsunami of humanity that just came rushing at him. And of course, people got hurt, and people got knocked down. People got like the one in particular that the reporter was sticking a microphone in his face while the poor guy's sitting there on a gurney. He said that one person knocked him down, and before he could get up off of one knee, somebody else stepped on the back of his leg and just snapped his knee.
Oh,
Yeah.
good Lord.
And he was one of literally dozens. I think they found that guy. I think that might have been a different one.
I'm not big on the whole prank video thing.
Well, no, but it's more of a, if even if he hadn't been running, even if he had not been, if he had been completely honest, if he hadn't been running video on that, those people still would have gotten hurt.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, honestly, it's not that different from yelling fire in a crowded theater. I mean, not that theaters are a thing anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, find me a crowded theater, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about insurance and basically running the numbers to provide coverage and stuff like that, and it's interesting stuff.
So,
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
I think we know what happens when good directors are bad screenwriters.
Yeah, I think we've seen a good fair amount of that.
Because you're looking at a big fan of the first Wonder Woman movie.
I mean, I want to talk about one part of that, but go ahead.
I basically wanted to go to everybody involved in making Green Lantern, everyone involved in making Dawn of Justice, and basically grabbing them by the scruff of the neck, rubbing their nose in the first Wonder Woman movie, and going, see this, you do this now, this. Because I really enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't a perfect film, but I was entertained pretty much start to finish, and I think they held. I think it was a good story. I think it was well written. It was extremely well directed, and I mean, let's be honest. Gal Gadot is, probably not going to win any Oscars. I mean, she certainly looked the part, and she can take direction. So that I count the success of her performance as that's a tip of the hat to the director as much as it is for her own acting talent, because she's a model, right? She's a model turned actress. Yeah. So, which is not to say that models can't turn actor, but yeah, she doesn't exactly have the acting chops. I mean, Meryl Streep, she ain't.
No, she ain't. But I thought she did good. I mean,
she did well. Superman does good.
Superman does not always do good. I've seen the couple of movies he's put out.
I
like Cavill. I like him. Okay. So what I want to ask you about is my one sticking point for the first Wonder Woman movie was
Okay.
when I forget the guy's name, the mid-ranking general and Dr. Poison or whatever her name is. They're in just before Steve Trevor steals the journal. You know what I'm talking about? They're in there. They're lamenting the apparent inevitable loss of their side, and just all of a sudden, she figures out what she has to do to make something work. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's been a while since I've seen the movie.
I only remember it so clearly because I watched it last week after we watched the '84, and I was just like, "What the heck?" Because it's like, I guess I don't know if this was just a rewriting issue or whatnot, but it's like they were trying to find a way to make I think gas masks ineffective, make a gas that could eat through gas masks or something like that.
Right.
And she's got like crumpled piece of paper in front of her, and just all of a sudden, like the wind blows, and she finds a piece of paper. Oh wait, this is it. This is what I need. And it's almost like, now my evil plan will succeed. I mean, it was like, like mustache twirling, kind of like, what the heck did I just watch? And so if you can cut that 5-second scene out, and I'm good with the whole movie. But that was like, what happened? What couldn't they fix in post that they had to do something like this?
Yeah. She should have been stroking a white Persian cat wearing a monocle.
Yes, it was
in a wheelchair.
Yes, that one scene was everything else I enjoyed the heck out of. I thought the chemistry between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot was just fantastic. I know people love Gadot. Is it Gadot or Gadot? I can never say it right.
I think I've seen enough interviews with her that when I hear her say her own name, it's Gadot.
Gadot, okay.
Like like you're gonna dote on somebody.
Gotcha.
With a "g" in front of it.
I don't know. I'm even hesitant to say something like this, but like, okay, one thing that I thought was a little off is like Wonder Woman. She's a tank. I mean, she's a hoss.
She is.
In the comics, she's a brute. I mean,
the only thing really where she is not on par with Superman is the eccentricities as far as the senses go. Like Superman has got like 3 separate auditory superpowers and about 12 different vision based superpowers. But the one place where she really falls, where she's not a tank, is the invulnerability.
True.
In the comic books, I mean, her skin is just as vulnerable to bullets and blades as yours or mine.
See, I thought she was more. I'm sorry. I thought she was more like Aquaman, because Aquaman's kind of like Rhino hide. No.
No. Yeah. Aquaman's because something about being able to withstand the crushing depths, whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah. So yeah, a knife blade will break on his skin. Bullets will hurt but not penetrate, and
I guess I was looking like this. Sorry, go
that
ahead.
was the whole thing about Wonder Woman having the bracelets, was that she had to be proactive with her invulnerability.
Okay. I guess maybe what I was kind of leaning towards, like, okay, Gal Gadot's physique. If you put someone like Jim Carrey's physique and say, all right, here's Superman. I mean, not quite the same. I mean, she flipping over tanks and stuff like that. So I mean,
she's got the strength.
Yeah. So is it magic based? Is that what it is, or is it?
Well,
it's God based, or
yes, it's deific. She was made out of clay by Queen Hippolyta, who then prayed to Zeus, and Zeus imbued her with his divinity.
Okay.
At one point, and I haven't actually purchased comics in a while, but at one point in the DC universe, Diana had been much in the same way. I don't know if you know the stories, the traditional myth, lore, and legends of Hercules, and how Hercules was basically he was.
The gods.
I don't want to say demigod. Right. I don't want to say demigod. I think you would more like a godling, basically.
Yeah.
But he was elevated after he went through his
trials, right?
All of his trials and everything, and then succumbed to, who was it? Somebody put poison inside of his lion skin, while he was where and but anyway, he was elevated. He then became God of Strength. He ascended to godhood. Well, at some point in the DC universe, within the last 15 years or so, Diana was elevated. She became the goddess of truth. And of course, they have to flip the script on the comic book universes. I think every 5 years now, they have to completely revamp absolutely everything.
Yep.
So I don't think that's the case anymore. But yeah, there were a lot of things that were interesting about her origins. There was one time when she got zapped with something where her body started to actually revert back to the clay from which she was formed. Like one of her hands just started crumbling off.
Didn't read that one.
Yeah, where it was like flesh up to about here, and then it starts to turn a little muddy and brown and everything, and then there's just this broken, jagged, split kind of ending.
Nobody wants that story. Nobody wants that story. What the heck?
But yeah, what was that whole thing with the lasso of Hestia?
Yeah.
Where she can use it to fly, and then she doesn't need it to fly.
All right.
Because in the comic books, she could always fly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I guess comic books. I guess we're saddled with, and I don't know the reset points or the continuity shift points or the retcon points, but I know at one point, somewhere in the comics, either she always flew or she got the ability to fly, and they did that with this last movie, but they've kind of jumped around with it. So like in the movie, she's using the lasso to like grab hold of like airplanes and I think lightning bolts and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was another good one.
It was kind of very reminiscent, honestly. A touch of the web slinging in there, which I'm like, oh, no, I'm okay with this. But the whole flying thing, that was, I mean, obviously we're talking about the movie, we've seen it, spoilers.
And what the hell's this?
Yeah,
I'm going to turn things invisibles now.
But
because I'm thinking.
I like how they played it for laughs. It's the invisible jet from like the Super Friends. It's the what she said. I only got to work once before with a coffee cup, and I lost the coffee cup. That's funny, man. That's funny.
Okay. It's a.
I feel like we should have more build up to it than that.
Well, it's a lot of comic book heresy for a joke,
Oh yes, but I mean, you know this probably better than I do. When it comes to translating media to media, it ain't gonna happen 1-to-1, not even 1-to-2.
No.
So like, there's a lot of.
I mean, it can be done better than others. It's been done. There's been times it's been done well. There's been times. Well, I like to go back to the Watchmen movie. There are fragments of that translated perfectly from the graphic novels to the big screen. Fragments.
Very slivers.
Yeah.
Slivers.
Yeah. And what they were doing for the rest of it.
Yeah. And that is what got you your modern age Justice League movie, which I was like, I mean, 300 was. I love 300. I enjoy the heck out of that movie. I haven't seen it forever, but I mean, I understand why they're like, this is the next big thing. We got to get him. He's got to do our movie. And then Watchmen was like, maybe not, guys. Maybe do we have to?
My biggest talking point, basically, that with the the non-nerd crowd, the people that like the movie 300 just because of the they like a good manly man splatterfest. When they would say, that movie wasn't that historically accurate, I gotta go, hold on.
You think?
That movie's not based on history.
No.
No. That movie was based on a graphic novel that was extremely loosely based on the Battle of Thermopylae. I mean, most of that battle actually happened at sea. And the 300, the brave 300 that were there. Yes, there were 300 hoplite soldiers from Sparta. There were also like 1,500 Athenians and a couple of thousand Arcadians, and they weren't alone. It wasn't just them. I mean, for God's sake, they had to sleep.
Peter, are you saying that our modern accounting of
again,
is less
it's
than?
not. It wasn't based on history. It was based on a graphic novel, and the graphic novel took some extreme artistic license, which I think got even amplified a little bit once it hit the big screen.
You would think the giants with the knives for hands might tip them off that maybe it's not accurate. The guy with shark teeth, I think there was a cyclops in there. Maybe, I'm not sure. There was a lot.
I don't think there was a cyclops.
Okay, no, but you're right. But like Ramsey was like 9.5 feet tall. I mean, it was like, come on, guys, This is not quite as accurate as Braveheart, and Braveheart was a little off too.
Oh yeah.
But no, man, I guess.
Look at any look at how Mel Gibson was dressed that entire movie. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And then go ahead and do just a simple web search on William Wallace for images, and see, like, he had portraits. He was no stranger to court.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
He took a bath from time to time, and he wore the fancy duds from time to time. You know, I mean, he was knighted, so he had influence.
Yeah.
Political influence. He was given, you know, some fundage.
Oh yeah, they totally tried to buy him off. I mean, hey, it's the easiest path. You want to fight a war, do you want to buy the guy off?
Sure.
I guess I think we're probably of the same mind that I wish that, and not to be a Marvel fanboy, I'm really not trying to be, but it's like I wish DC, because I've always believed DC has a stronger roster of characters. I wish they would have like 60-70% of what the Marvel characters have.
As far as the movies?
As far as just the opportunity. I mean, and I know we almost didn't have a Marvel universe. It's hard to think about that now. I mean, it's so prevalent. But, you know, go back to when it launched. Marvel did what they did because they were all on the verge of bankruptcy. Like, they had to lease out their characters and still don't have some of them back yet.
Yeah, that's a damn shame.
So, but on the plus side, DC has everything in-house. If they can just get the freedom to do what they need to do to lay the groundwork to course correct and go forward, I mean, it could be amazing.
Well, there has to be somebody with the vision to do the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
Marvel,
Pete, we are CEO centered, and we must back our stockholders, and we have to get this movie out by next week because we need to get the shareholders happy.
Well, that's not what Marvel did when they started Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's one guy. There's one name I'm thinking of. I know you know who it is.
There's a couple. Are we talking Favreau? Or are we talking?
No.
Are we talking Perlmutter?
No.
Perlmutter was a monster. He should have been gone day one. Dude, the stuff around about that guy, insane. Oh, you're talking about Downey Jr.
Nope.
Okay,
not talking him.
What I miss? Who am I missing?
Let's see how easy it is for me. Can you still see me and hear me if I'm doing this? Okay. I got a different window up.
No, you're good.
Because this is gonna. This will be one of those things you get to edit out.
Yeah, sure. Well, figure something out.
Kevin Feige.
Oh, well, what did I say? I thought I said Feige. Did I not?
I
said Favreau. I said Favreau. I'm sorry.
You said Favreau.
Yeah, you're right.
And Favreau, by the way, is baller.
Oh yeah.
Everything he did in the MCU and what he's been doing in Star Wars, dude.
Yes.
Hats. If I was wearing 50 hats, I would take them all off to this man.
No.
I got nothing but good things to say. But anyway, DC needs their Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
They need somebody who can come in and say, look, I know the stuff. I know the source. I have a vision of, if they just didn't make Iron Man and go, hey, that was so good, let's make a sequel to it and call it Hulk. Hey, that was good too. Let's make it a trilogy. No. This is 20 some movies. Looking into the future, 20 some movies over 10 some years. I saw the flaw with that as soon as Dawn of Justice. Oh no, okay. Man of Steel was first, right?
Let me think. It was because this was after Nolan, because Nolan did his 3, and then they said we gotta catch this. And
you can't count Green Lantern, and you can't count the Christopher Nolan Batman.
No,
this is everything that came after that.
Yes.
So
I think it was Man of Steel.
So I think Man of Steel was that, and so now we're gonna take a next step with Dawn of Justice. They bring out freaking Doomsday.
Yeah, that was very ill advised. It was bad enough they were going back and rehashing the
like in Iron Man, who was the antagonist?
I know it's Ironmonger. It's Obadiah Stane.
It was another guy in a metal suit.
Yeah,
Iron Man's a guy in a metal suit. They didn't put him up against some world-ending, apocalyptic, super mega ultra villain. They put him up against another. And matter of fact, through most of the movie, the antagonist was Tony Stark. He was kind of dealing with his own demons.
Self-destruction.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a guy in a metal suit. They put him up against another guy in a metal suit. They didn't put him up against Galactus.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when I heard that, okay, we got freaking Doomsday in the first, I guess, Justice League prelude. I mean, that's what they called it, the Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
And then so that when the first Justice League movie does come out, they're bringing on Darkseid. They're bringing in Apocalypse and the minions of Darkseid.
Yeah.
You've got to build up to that.
A perfect example is, we don't have much else to compare it to. So you compare it to Marvel. Thanos was Thanos was mentioned in what? What was I guess if you really want to get into it, I guess you could go with like the second Thor movie. When they had the car with the ether through them.
I mean, Thanos was in Avengers.
Yes, he was. Crap, you're right. You're right.
He was. He was the other was dealing with Loki in the beginning.
Is that the first time we saw Thanos, or was he a stinger somewhere?
The first time we saw him was in the post credits when the other says, the humans, they are unruly and therefore cannot be ruled. To attack them is to court death, and then you got the sideways grin from Thanos there. But that was the Avengers.
Forgot about that.
That was the Avengers. There were I think 4 movies before Avengers. Because you had 2. You had 1 Thor, 1 Captain America, 2 Iron Mans, 1 Thor, 1 Captain America, 2 Iron Mans, and 1 Hulk.
Yeah. Do we count the Ang Lee Hulk or no?
No. Oh, no.
Okay, just check.
No.
Just clarify.
No.
Okay. I know.
You brought back the bed. You brought back the bed.
So I shouldn't mention Ed Norton either. I'm sorry.
No, that one was good.
That one. That was pretty good.
Yeah. No, the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk movie counts.
Okay.
That had Tony Stark and in the post credit scene.
That's right.
So it's legit part of the MCU. It was the second film in the MCU.
And you know what? You can recast, and it's okay.
Yeah. Which they're gonna have to. Man, I guess they're not. I'm still kind of devastated about
Boseman. Yeah, that's horrible.
About whom?
Black Panther.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I mean, the guy looked healthy as a horse. The guy looked fit as anything, and he never let anybody, as far as the public is concerned, nobody knew.
No,
Nobody knew.
I saw.
Nobody knew he had cancer. Nobody even knew he was sick.
No, nobody knew because I mean I remember seeing a picture. Someone just had a comment. Hey, maybe I saw a picture of what's his face. Is he getting in ready for a role or something? And I googled it. It was like, man, he was like he had to be down 50 pounds, and I mean, and he was just like skin
Cancer
and
sucks.
bones. He did it. It's horrible.
But yeah, we're getting off topic here.
Oh, yes.
So if well, I mean, just the fact that there were 6
Yeah.
in the first movie that was titled Justice League, the fact that there was only 6 there, wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I
There
have
were 7. There were always 7.
always 7. There were always 7. It always started with the 7.
Mm-hmm.
They even had a bloody tagline,
Unite the 7.
"Unite the 7," and there were 6. Who was the 7? Was it Alfred?
Supposedly, and who knows if the Snyder Cut is going to be worth the wait. I'm sure it's not. But back when they would release a trailer and people would go through and go frame by frame and look for this and look for that. I don't know if it was photoshopped or what, but I remember seeing when Alfred said, he turned and he said he knew you'd come or something like that to someone we don't ever see who it was. Someone froze and enhanced and zoomed and did all that stuff. It said there was green tint in his glasses, and they thought it was a Green Lantern showing up, but they didn't do that.
Could have been Martian
I would
Manhunter.
love to see John Jones. I like John Jones, but John Jones is my wife's favorite character from the old Justice League cartoon. He loves Manhunter.
Yeah, before then even, I have issues of Justice League going back to the mid '80s, where I mean he's another one who's he's basically, I think it was the Wally West version, but this was post original Crisis. So Barry Allen was now living in a permanent time loop where he got to experience the best years of his life over and over and over and over again. So, and Wally West's physiology had changed so that he was no longer limited to the speed of sound and was no longer killing himself every time he used the Speed Force, every time he accessed the Speed Force. So he's the Flash now.
Yeah.
And he was the Flash for a very long time. But anyway, this was one of those, it was at the end of this big major storyline, and they were actually fighting an army of angels, legit angels. I mean, angels from heaven.
I think I've read part of this, but go ahead.
Yeah. And so there's this great frame of Martian Manhunter sitting there, and like his flesh is literally cracking, and he's hunched over and he's looking at this, he's staring down. I want to say his name was Zoriel something. He was like the Mac Daddy of all the angels that were trying to, do the bad things. And he's telling him, you're not going any further than this. You can tell they've been duking it out hardcore for a long time. So there's Wally West looking over like, oh, and here's the guy that says he can never live up to the legend. He's wrestling an angel. And there was another great frame in there where Wonder Woman goes flying off into their mothership thing. Why angels need a mothership, don't know, but they had one. And you just see her fly in, and then you hear, because it was a thing where you couldn't even touch them, or it would burn you. They were so much in the ethereal that if they came into contact with anything on the physical plane, it would get destroyed. So there's Wonder Woman running, and she's leaving little flaming footprints behind her as she's running into this ship. And then it kind of goes off screen, and there's this off screen bing, bang, boom, whatever. And then you see her flying out the other side, and the ship is crashing towards the ocean, And the one angel who was off, no, his name was Zoriel. He's the one that went up to her and went, Diana, that was, I'm just going to say it, that was biblical.
Nice.
But again, what I keep coming back to is you can't you can't start off a storyline with the big world ending. Does that? I mean,
No, I totally know. You're right. I completely understand.
I
what you're
read
saying.
more than my share of Suicide Squad. They got into intrigue. They got into wet works. They never dealt with some big world-ending foe.
Yeah.
And what do they do with the Suicide Squad movie?
Well, it's got to be bigger than the Avengers. I mean, it's got to be bigger than Guardians of the Galaxy. We got Will Smith in it.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I know, but that's what they don't get. I mean, Deadpool. Deadpool's a good example. Deadpool's ridiculously popular, and he fights some low-level no-name in his first movie. Has to have backup from like Colossus and like, was it Teenage?
Come on,
Super Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. There
Something
you go.
like that, yeah. So I mean, that's having that scope in mind is a huge advantage. But you're right. It's like, honestly, when you were saying this earlier, it reminded me of. You ever watch any Doctor Who stuff?
Of course.
Okay, so you remember when Capaldi
Got to
first
turn in my nerd card if I don't know anything about that.
How long is he? Do you remember when Capaldi first came in and it's him and Clara and the automatons or whatever they're called?
Nope.
Well, there's a time when she's basically trapped and they
My knowledge of Doctor Who is far from encyclopedic.
I gotcha. But it reminded me of this. The character Clara had been a teacher, and she, flashed back when she was teaching, and she, had an unruly child, and she threatened a child with expulsion, and then she backpedaled with a less dangerous threat, and the kid's like, "What?" And that's what happened with her. She's in this room with all these, body stealing robots, and they're threatening her. It's like, "Tell us this, or we'll kill you." Tell us this, or we'll whatever. And she's like, "Wait, you can't go backwards. You started off with death. What are you gonna do worse than that?" Same situation. What you're talking about is like, you can't start off with, again, Doomsday should have been the culmination of at least 2 or 3 movies, and then don't make him a Zod mutation or whatever it was. Make him daggum Doomsday if you're going to do it.
Right. The Death of Superman storyline was pretty darn good. I have every episode. I have every issue.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 issues of, I think it was Superman 75 was the one that came out in the black cover. With I had one that I opened, and then 2 that I stashed away. It had the black armband inside of it. Had the poster inside of it. Had like a little mini issue of the Daily Planet with his obituary in there, and it was several issues of several different comics. It was a very big crossover event that led up to Superman 75, Death of Superman. You don't open with that, man.
No, you don't. You're right. You have to earn that. You have to earn.
There should have been. There should have been. Okay, they had Man of Steel. Great. There should have been a Wonder Woman before Dawn of Justice. There should have been maybe a Batman before Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
The Aquaman should have come before Dawn, which I know this isn't popular, but I liked Aquaman. I thought it was a good film.
I have to separate the art from the artist. I'm not a big fan of what's her name, Amber Heard. How do you say her name? I don't like her, but I enjoyed the heck out of Aquaman. It's a fun movie. It is fun. The guy who plays Black Manta, he's a little over the top. He's a little over the top in some of his like villainous stuff, but I love his character. He's great.
He was evil.
Yeah.
He was a rotten person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would like to see a little more of that, a little less of Wonder Woman 84, and I definitely want a Cyborg movie. The guy who played Cyborg stole every scene he was in.
He definitely should. There should have been a Cyborg movie. There should have been a follow up. Much like there was, much like Iron Man 2 preceded the Avengers. There should have been a follow up to Man of Steel before. Before the Justice League movie. Obviously, they would have had to do the Flash. And God, what is it going to take for me to get a good Green Lantern movie? I waited.
It's going to take? It's going to take Jon Stewart.
You're
going to have to ditch Hal Jordan. I'm sorry, ditch the right.
I will start a Kickstarter right now to get Idris Elba in the role of Jon Stewart.
Yes.
And you can't say that it's impossible because he's already been in Marvel movies because Zachary Levi did both.
Yeah, I mean, what's his J.K. Simmons has been in both. Gosh, there's more than a couple. More than a couple have done multiple. Yeah, no, that's no.
As good as the casting was of putting Robert Downey Jr. in as Tony Stark, I think Idris Elba as the John Stewart Green Lantern would be almost as good. I don't think it would be as good, but I don't think anything can be as good because, I mean, I I always like to say that if you gave Robert Downey Jr. what I call the 60-60 bump, he would be Tony Stark. There's no acting there.
Yeah, no.
And what the 60-60 bump is that you take Robert Downey Jr., you increase his IQ by 60 points, and you increase his net worth by $60 billion, and you have Tony Stark.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. No, you're right. Casting is so important. I don't think they've made a lot of casting errors so far. I mean, I had my issues with a couple of them, but it's nothing major. But yeah, no, I'm kind of the same mind as like.
I was worried about the physicality of Wonder Woman because I mean, Amazons are there's some sturdy gals. You know, they're Gal Gadot's a supermodel. The Amazons aren't built like supermodels. They're built like they're from good sturdy Scandinavian
rugby players,
stock, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think she made it work. I got to give props to the costumer in that regard because if they'd have put her into just like a standard comic book style Wonder Woman costume, I think, you would have looked and said, she's too skinny to do anything. Yeah.
I tell you what, honestly, what sells me for her playing Wonder Woman is honestly it's in which one is that? Justice League. Justice League. When they brought Superman back and he's kind of out of it still, and she hits.
Oh, when he headbutts her.
No, but when she hits him with the lasso and she's like, Kal-El, remember who you are. That scene right there is like, oh crap, she knows what she's doing. That's solid. Yeah. It's just like 3 seconds, but it is solid right there. I'm like, okay, all right. That's how you.
There were many solid moments in the Justice League movie, and immediately following the one that you're talking about, when Barry Allen's booking it around to get position, to try and get when he sees Clark's eye switch over, first Barry Allen, I'm happy because I'm going to do this, and then eye switch, and then back to Barry Allen. Oh shit! That was a great moment
right there. Now
but,
that is,
you can't take a bunch of little moments and make a good film though. It's got to be a good film first.
And I will say that honestly, my biggest problem in the entire DCU or DCE or whatever they're calling it nowadays is who they
DCEU, I think is what they're saying.
DCEU, if we're going with that still, is Jesse Eisenberg. He is not Lex Luthor. Bryan Cranston could be Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg, in fact, they were so afraid of it, they even called him Lex Luthor Jr. Now, you know more about this stuff than I do. Is that Lex Luthor's actual name, or did they drop a punt in post-production?
No, they had in the comic books there was an Alexander Luthor who was Lex Luthor's kid. Well, right around the 80s. See, leading up to that, Lex Luthor was a mad scientist. He was that was the archetype that everybody was scared of. But in Reagan's America, the business tycoon became the archetype that everybody loved to hate. So Lex Luthor became the CEO of LexCorp, and everything that ensued after that. I think he had a fake hand.
As a scientist, or is this like
no?
Gen 1?
As a business tycoon, one of the first things he did when he started to face off against Superman was he had a ring created with a kryptonite jewel that ended up poisoning him. Oh. So he lost his hand.
Okay.
So he's there with like one black glove on and $16,000 Armani suits and paying $800 to get his hair cut, even though he's bald. One of those guys. So, but yeah, he was all Wall Street and Madison Avenue. He was all, he was Gordon Gekko without the hair.
Okay.
And yeah, so they brought in Alexander Luthor, who initially everybody thought, okay, yeah, this is Lex Luthor Jr. He's his kid. Turned out he was a clone, and there was a whole transferred consciousness thing. But,
I love comic books.
But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, out of all of them, that is my biggest issue with casting is him. I never bought him as Lex Luthor. Ever.
Yeah, I got my issues with Batfleck. I think he could have been. I think they could have done better.
I didn't like his costume.
I don't think he did a horrible job. I don't think he did a great job.
I would like to have seen him in a better costume because it reminded me of the old Michael Keaton costume where he could barely move.
Oh yeah, he had the Michael Keaton Batman had a lot in common with the 1970s Darth Vader as far as fighting style goes.
Oh yes.
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna stand here while you run into my fist.
Yeah.
Yeah. They even made a good in one of the Nolan Batmans. They made a good point where he's talking to Lucius. He's like, "Oh, so you want to be able to turn your head?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, helps in a fight. Yeah.
Which, oh god, if you remember, oh god, I want to bang my head against the wall. In the, I think it was the second Tim Burton one that had Catwoman in it.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow at the end of that, he was able to completely tear the thing in half. His cowl,
yeah,
that is meant to deflect bullets, is up, and somehow he's able to rip this thing completely in half off of his head.
He's like wearing this rubber turtleneck the rest of the scene. He's like,
yeah, like he's got a neck brace on, like he just had whiplash or something.
You know what I loved is after he did this, the eyeshadow disappeared.
Did it? I didn't notice that.
He always wore the eyeshadow, in close-ups you could tell.
The black eye. Yeah, they had to black out his eyes.
Oh man, is that the 80s
That's
still?
funny.
That was the 80s still, wasn't it? Or was it? No,
Yeah.
it was the 90s because the first one was 89 Batman. That was, I guess, 92 or something like that.
I remember reading a interview with Michael Keaton that you mentioned before about Amber Heard, how you have to separate the role from the
art from
performer.
the artist. Yeah.
I was big into comic books back then, and I can't even count how many people I had to talk down off the fence or off the roof or whatever the expression is, because they were losing their ever-loving mind because by casting a clown they've defecated on the whole Batman, blah blah. It's like, he's not a clown. He's an actor. Yes, he's been in funny movies, and he's probably hilarious to have a meal with. He's probably got some fantastic dinner conversation. But he's an actor. He's going to act.
I remember more recently when they cast Heath Ledger as the Joker. I remember the same thing. People lost their minds over Heath Ledger being the Joker, and he gave one of, and I argue, just on the work panel, one of the best Joker performances ever. I love his Joker.
I became physically angry, and I know that's supposed to be, you're supposed to be, in mourning when somebody dies, but I just, all I could think of was that he has taken any future performances away. Yeah. That could have been so amazing. But anyway, the other part of that interview with Michael Keaton was on it was like on day one of dress rehearsal. When they were actually Jack Nicholson came up to him and just kind of looked him up and down and said, "Just let the suit do the acting, kid."
I mean, what else can you do? You gonna argue with him?
That's Jack Nicholson. Yeah, I'm not arguing with Jack Nicholson.
No, of course not. Even though he's a little crazy these days, but
if he's how do I put this? I don't accept financial advice from people who make less money than I do.
Fair enough.
Okay, so if Jack Nicholson is giving me acting advice, I'm taking that to the bank, right? So
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, DC. They just need a good start.
They're gonna have to take it back to. I don't know if it can be salvaged. I don't know. I don't know if the good that they did with the first Wonder Woman movie and the good that they did with Aquaman. I don't know if that can be salvaged.
I hope so. I genuinely hope so. I want. I don't want Cavill to stay around. I like him as Superman. I want. Honestly, everybody in that cast stay around. The guy that plays the Flash. Again, art from the artist. He may be trouble. I remember seeing some articles about him, and I think he got in a fight with someone at like a.
Oh really? Scrappy, huh?
No, he's not scrappy. No, he did not win.
Ezra Miller is his name.
That's his name. Ezra Miller.
I know jack all squat about him. I don't.
Other than this and like the Harry Potter movies.
I know he was in one of the Harry Potter, not prequels.
Well, it's a prequel.
Yeah, no, they were prequels.
Yeah. They've done two of the. I think they're supposed to do 5, and they've done 2 of them, and they've just kicked Johnny Depp off the project. So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Apparently, it's funny because you talked about Amber Heard a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Johnny Depp is still getting grief from Amber Heard lying her butt off to authorities.
This is and my understanding that the most recent lawsuit that was kind of like a big brouhaha before he left the Harry Potter project was something to do like a defamation lawsuit in France. So I mean, I don't pretend to keep up with all this stuff. I hate that we lost Captain Jack too, because I love Captain Jack as a character. I think he's just hilarious, even though those last 3 movies, last 3 of the 5 were terrible. But
why did that fall on him? Why did that fall on him at the end anyway? Why is Amber okay? Why is it that Amber Heard can lie her ass off and get Johnny Depp kicked off of movie projects, and she still has a job?
That's the odd thing about it. I think there's still litigation out there. Like I think there's a current ongoing, like as of today, there's another lawsuit that's not the French.
There hasn't been. Thing. I haven't seen a second Aquaman movie, so I don't know if any of that is true. But
last I heard, and I looked, I won't say in the last 60 days, I think she's still attached to the project, but everything is still on hold. So who knows when we'll see the next one.
Yeah, I had a friend who actually played the recording.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's terrible.
That was done.
It's terrible. I listened to part of it. It's not. It's one of those things that I
just how freaking entitled and I don't even know if entitled goes far enough.
Probably not strong enough. You could find a word that equals entitlement squared, maybe. Yeah, but that, I mean, as I understand, there's some folks in Hollywood that don't like that. It's just like the
just that whole "they're going to believe me, not you" attitude.
Yeah, the apex prima donna kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I just the whole thing makes me kind of sick.
It sucks.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, man. I mean, I know it's part of the thing because it's part of the industry, and you can't really dodge it because there is no real dodging this stuff.
I wish you could. I wish it was possible to do that. I can't tell you how many times I have avoided human contact in order to see a film unburdened with what if I could personify Hollywood as a filmmaker, a human filmmaker, and personify Madison Avenue as a human commercial maker. I think Hollywood should punch Madison Avenue right in the dick, because imagine you're a director, okay? You've dedicated 3 years of your life to this project. You finally got it. Final cut is in the can, and you're thinking, this is it. This is my art. This is something I'm putting my name on this because it has come from me, and I have completed it. and then some dink on the other coast goes and takes every single one of the best scenes from the movie and snips them together in a 30-second spot. By the way, giving away just about everything about the movie in the process.
Yeah.
You know,
I almost think the directors should make their own trailers.
I like what they did in the Dawn of the Dead reboot. When did that come out? Was that 96?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
97, somewhere in that range.
What they did for that, they released like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I'm okay with a 5-minute preview. I am. When it's like, but
Yeah.
because they're not going to get the end of the movie in the trailer that way.
Yeah, that's like a publisher giving you, the first 12 pages of the next novel.
Yeah.
Or maybe even the first chapter if it's some massive 200 chapter book, whatever. But back in Charlie Chaplin's day, most movie houses had a plywood stand-up of Charlie Chaplin that they would just simply keep in a broom closet somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, because whenever a new Charlie Chaplin movie would come out, all they had to do was take that Charlie Chaplin stand-up, put it out on the sidewalk. It was as if Charlie was there saying, "I got a new movie and it's playing in here right now," and people would line up. They went and lined up to see these films. They sat down and the movie started without them having seen a trailer, without them even having seen a movie poster.
It's interesting because it's almost
they got to experience the film.
Yeah, it reminds me of kind of like in the opposite end of things is like, remember Rogue One?
Yeah.
Now I don't know if this was just changed in the reshoots or whatever they did, but there's a scene in the trailer it's stuck in my head. I remember it. The what's her name? The female lead. I can't.
Sharon Arthur?
That's the one. Yes, yeah. She's like on some scaffolding and she's going toward this point she's trying to get to, and then we're looking at her from behind and we see drop into frame a TIE fighter right at her.
The scene wasn't in the movie.
It was not in the movie at all.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so either it was in the movie and they cut it, or it was done as misdirection because this is like the whole spoiler. Gotta throw red herrings everywhere and train.
Let me give you the antithesis of that.
Okay.
There was a movie called Quarantine. I think it happened in an apartment building where there were, somebody was showing some symptoms, and it was basically like a mutated form of rabies. And they put the hood over the building, and then there's all this drama going in, and then everybody's scared. There is a scene in the trailer of the main character, and you're looking at her through a infrared camera, where you can see she's got the glowy green spots in her eyes and everything's dark behind her, and she's for about a half a second is crawling towards the camera, and then you see her get yanked back off into the darkness as she's screaming.
I think
that was the last scene in the movie. That was the actual final scene prior to a rolling credits. That was the last scene in the movie, and they showed it in the bloody preview. So the entire movie, you're thinking, well, she's still alive, so that's not going to happen. And once it got to the point where, okay, almost everybody's dead now. Oh, look, they're doing everything, all the lights are off. They had to switch to infrared. Oh, you know what? I'm starting to, okay, wait for it. And roll credits.
That's when I'm going to make up a word. When it's industry-fied like that, that is so jacked up because
doesn't it cheapen the experience?
Absolutely, it takes everything away from it. It ruins what they're trying to do, and it ruins the work of the actors and the work of the writers and work of everyone behind the camera.
Yeah.
Because some like you said.
I'm going to say it again. If I was the personification of Hollywood, I would go find the personification of Madison Avenue and throw him down a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
How dare you? I understand you have to sell my art. I understand that, but you can do it without, giving the entire thing away.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
So, yeah, I think that was '96.
That sounds right. Yeah.
That Dawn of the Dead remake, which, by the way, I loved. If we're talking about movies that were remade and should have been, yeah, I'm a what you might call a Romero purist when it comes to zombies.
So no fast zombies.
My one issue with that was that they were sprinting.
Yeah.
But they were also fresh.
I was saying, were they early in their
Yeah.
simplification?
The outbreak had just happened, so I could maybe give them that.
Yeah. So,
But I'm more about the zombies should be okay right off the bat. Number one, they have to be dead.
yes.
So like there are movies that actually have the word zombie in the title, like Zombieland. Those the antagonists in Zombieland, not zombies. If you can aim at center mass, blast them in the blood pump, and they drop like a stone, that's not a zombie. If you can blow their arm off and they fall down, bleed out, and die,
That's not a zombie.
that's not a zombie. Which is not to say it's not scary. I am a huge fan of the entire genre, but I don't call those zombies. I have my own acronym for them. I like to call them RIPS. RIP, rage infected person.
Gotcha.
Okay, which you can take and turn in. You can call them Rippers. Like Jack the Ripper. That's awesome. I'm cool.
Very well done. Well done. You're so Dawn of the Dead over there. I'm much more Shaun of the Dead as far as zombie stuff goes. But I have an appreciation.
But as far as the zombies themselves, Shaun of the Dead held true to the Romero.
It hits all the points.
Yeah, they're dead. They're slow. They're shambling. They can't open doors. Let alone most of them can't even crawl upstairs.
Yeah.
So the most popular genre right now. The most popular property of the genre right now is obviously The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Which on one hand, I thought was maybe the best explanation ever as to how the outbreak could spread so quickly, and the whole thing about how how is it that the infection is spread so quickly? Well, it's because we're already infected. Everybody has it. It's airborne. It's 100% communicable. It just doesn't do anything until you die. And anytime you have any sort of natural disaster, whatever, there's always going to be peripheral deaths that occur as a result of, power outages and or even car accidents. And if every single one of those people that die as a result of that, gets up within a few minutes and starts raising hell, yeah, I can see that. But my biggest issue with that is, if we're all infected already, why are the bites fatal? Why do you have to worry about a zombie scratching you or biting you if the virus is already in everything and everybody? Other than the fact that as you and I are sitting right here, if I were to crawl through the internet and bite you on the arm without if I was biting you on the arm with the intent of consuming your flesh, it would take you a while to beat me the hell off you, especially if I was singular in purpose the way a zombie is.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be able to simply cause me pain and make me quit.
Nope.
I would keep on going. But so let's say I get a real good chew into the meaty part of your forearm. Blood loss is an issue, obviously, but even if you staunch the bleeding, without some hardcore antibiotics, you could die anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, human mouth is a filthy, filthy thing.
Very bad.
So, I mean, so a zombie bite, I think, can't be any more sterile than a human bite. But they don't play it off like that in the TV show. When somebody gets a zombie bite, it's, you know, you see them the first the fever, you know, and then there's the, you know, the goop, like, you know, spreading around the wound, you know, and then they die. They die because of the bite, and they die quickly because of the bite. And if we're already sick, if we're already infected, what does it matter to get bit?
Yeah.
How does that kill you any faster than a human being biting you on the arm?
I assume that it's just to, maybe it's at this point, maybe it's a plot device just to move things along. Maybe it reacts with the dormant virus that's already in someone's system and accelerates things from a separate host. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, we've only got 44 minutes per episode, so
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I was such a huge fan of the comic book series.
Yeah.
I mean, I had all of them. You know, I've been a Kirkman fan through like Marvel Zombies and Walking Dead, and then I go, they're making it a TV show! Yay, this is gonna be awesome! And for like, I don't want to say 15 minutes, it was fan-freaking-tastic. And then they broke my heart when who's the first zombie that Police Chief Rick Grimes actually saw. He heard a bunch of them that were like behind locked doors, but who was the first zombie that he actually saw?
I believe it was a little girl, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what did that little girl do?
Turned at him and snarled.
Well, first she shuffled her feet, and then she stopped, bent down, and picked up a teddy bear.
That's right. She had dexterity still.
Why would she care about a teddy bear?
That too, yeah.
It's not food.
No,
it doesn't smell like food. It's not making noise. It's nothing that she can eat.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about
like,
that. Of course, they also had things like you could make the zombies go dormant. Did you watch the rest of the series?
I think I'm up to like season 7. I was watching it with my son, and then he and I stopped watching it together, so I kind of fell off.
Did you? You got to, well, obviously you got to me shown. I'm trying to think where. Gosh, I don't know if I watched it that far myself. I remember season 3 and 4, I believe. Is that where Michonne's in? Girl with the sword.
Yeah, I think that's when she finally showed up.
Yeah. I know she would carry around a couple of like disarmed zombies.
Yeah, that was straight out of the graphic novels, or the comic books rather.
So,
yeah, she would chop their arms off and remove their lower jaw.
Yeah. So is that cool? I mean, does that hold up for your zombie standards? Because I mean, I'm like, I don't know if you can make a zombie go dormant like that.
Their explanation was that once you remove their ability to feed, that takes away their drive to feed. And no, I don't think that. I think that once a zombie is, you know, reanimated, once it stops being a corpse and starts being a zombie. I don't know if you've ever coded before, but you could. You could, if you were in like C++ or BASIC or hell Fortran for that matter, you could write the thought processes of a zombie, and it would probably take you about 12 lines of code. You know,
seek food, eat food, seek food, eat food.
But yeah, sensory input. You know, because they still have all the senses that we do.
Yes.
You know, sensory input occurs. You know. Question line, you know, is food? Yes or no? If yes, then move towards. If no, then back to, you know, return to line 10, you know.
Yeah.
And then further down, like the next algorithm, you know, like I said, if yes, then move towards. That would take you to another like 3-line algorithm for when you finally come into contact with the thing, you know. Can grab, yes. Can bite, yes. Then do it.
Yeah.
And that's all they do. That's what they do. That's all they do. That's
Yeah.
the thinking part of their brain has been basically taken over. It's been converted into a generator, which is the only reason that their muscles are still able to work. And there's a biological
There's some real world kind of or correlation, not correlation, but inferences. How's that? Yeah, like I know about like the zombie fungus,
the ants.
Yeah, the ants. As honestly, dude, rabies. Rabies is not too far off. I mean,
But again,
coming
those-
back to life thing.
Yeah, those are animals that are messed up in the head, but they're not dead.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm talking about a dead animal being able to move.
yeah. The whole reanimation thing. The whole
There
former corpse.
there's no shortage of stories about people freaking the hell out in morgues because some like fresh corpse like completely sat up or twisted its legs or whatever. It's just a residual
Yeah,
bit of bioelectric.
yeah. There's a lot of things that have to finish cycling out if they're going to be done.
Right. Well, I'm going to take you back to 7th grade honors biology.
Go for it.
After we were done dissecting the frogs, we took a. Now this is the difference between honors biology and regular biology. Regular biology, they dissected like earthworm,
Yeah,
and they dissected an earthworm that had been, that was coming out of a little container full of dead earthworms. So.
yeah.
Whereas in honors biology, we got a live frog that was, you had to catch it, and you took this big honking straight pin and found the base of the spine and just jammed that sucker right in there, and it completely paralyzed the frog without killing it, so that you could put that, what do they call it, the capital I cut.
Yeah.
One down and then 2 lateral, so it opens right up, and the heart's still beating, the lungs are still inflating and deflating, and everything is still moving in there. So,
You and I went to very different schools.
well, again, that was honors biology versus regular. Anyway,
Yeah.
one of the things that we did at the end of that process was we cut one of the legs off of the biggest frog that was in there. Whoever won the lottery and got the biggest frog, and skinned the leg, and then picked the largest hunk of leg muscle. What would be your quadriceps? Yours are my quadriceps. Big honking thigh muscle, right? And removed it, and the thing was about maybe 1.5 inches long.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Chicken
And we had this little punch deal that put a hole in each end, and as it put the hole in there, it inserted a plastic, like a grommet, something to give it some stability.
Yeah.
And then one of those grommets went over this nylon hook, and so that was hanging there, and then there was a little bent wire that hooked through the bottom grommet. And then there were these little penny weights that you could put on the bottom of there. And then, so that nylon hook that the muscle was hanging from was wired. There was a little bitty ammeter and a switch down at one base. And that came up and over, and you took the 2 wires and you connected one of them to the top of the muscle and stabbed the other one into the bottom of the muscle. And then you turned it up to around somewhere between 4 and 20 milliamps, and had a momentary push button switch. Push the switch, the circuit's closed. Release the switch, the circuit's open. And every time you push that down, guess what happened to those weights?
They would start
That muscle contracted, and it lifted the weights. Now, that muscle, is that dead? Can you can you define that as alive, in any way?
I would. Okay, so
It's not connected to a nervous system.
No.
It's not connected to a circulatory system.
nope.
It has nothing feeding it.
My understanding of alive and dead is that it has to respirate
Okay.
and
Now,
now how would that leg look in 24 hours?
who knows? But
Yeah,
what was making that leg move?
electricity. It was
An electrical impulse.
Mhm.
Now, what makes your muscles move? Same thing. You have electrochemical impulses that start at your brain.
Mhm.
The part of your brain that is dedicated to creating that energy is minuscule
Yeah.
compared to the rest of the brain.
Mhm.
So if you have a virus that doesn't kill you, instead it converts your gray matter, white matter, dark matter, whatever's in your cranium there, whether it's the frontal lobe, the hypothalamus, the corpus callosum, all of that, and it converts it into a generator.
Mhm.
So now it's all dedicated to producing these electrochemical impulses. Those would be stronger than yours or mine, right? So in a way, the zombie brain is superior to the human brain, only in its electrochemical output, which is why they can still use their muscles. But their muscles aren't magic. So if you were to go and let's say you went and stabbed a zombie through the lower back, got him right in the spine.
Oh, could you disable its ability to move?
Have you done anything to disrupt the connection between the zombie brain and its arms?
No.
Nope. So it's still going to be trying to claw at you.
Of course, yeah.
Is it going to be able to walk?
Probably not.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you cut the wires.
Mhm.
The nervous system is really the only fully functional part of a zombie. This is the part of Max Brooks' Zombie Survival Guide where I had to put the book down and walk away for a little bit. I don't know if you ever read the book, but I mean, we're getting into a discussion. We're bringing the discussion to such a level
Mhm.
that I mean, you're not an insane person. I'm not an insane person, but we're talking about something that we both know is completely fictitious.
Oh yes, completely.
But we're putting such
There's a lot of
effort.
There's a lot
Effort,
of what if
yeah.
in this. There's
Yeah.
a tremendous amount of what if.
Max Brooks, who is actually the son of Mel
I was
Brooks.
going to say, is it Mel Brooks? Good lord.
That's his kid. He wrote several books, but the one that got me into reading his books was called the Zombie Survival Guide.
Mhm.
Now, you know how every book published has an what is it? The ISBN
Yeah.
number.
Numbers.
Part of that code will determine where in a bookstore or library that book should be stored. They have to define it.
Yeah. What kind of book is it? Is it a cookbook?
So-
Is it a reference manual? Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Right. The Zombie Survival Guide is listed under humor. It's a complete work of fiction, and it's listed under humor. It doesn't read like a funny book. It reads like stereo instructions.
Mhm.
It reads like a how-to manual because that's how it is presented. It's written from the viewpoint of zombies are real, outbreaks have happened, and here's what you need to do in the event of, and the detail he goes into, this is what you need to do in the event of a level 1 outbreak. What's a level 1 outbreak? Here's what you need to do in the event of a level 2 outbreak, level 3 outbreak, level 4 outbreak. Level 5, hang it up, because level 5 outbreak means that the dead now outnumber the living, and it's a global, what you have to do then is basically, ride it out and eventually rebuild civilization. You got to take that responsibility on yourself. But as far as our Mr. Max Brooks is concerned, oh God, I am woefully unprepared. for any. I am literally years behind.
Well, if anything,
Getting ready for an outbreak.
If the year 2020 has showed us anything, we are all drastically unprepared for any real threat. I mean,
well, that's a great thing about prepping for a zombie apocalypse, is that if you're prepped for a zombie apocalypse, you're actually prepped for a whole lot of other things too.
yeah, probably got more bullets than you need, but maybe that looters. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I wish I had time to delve into stuff to lore that deep, you know.
Well, one final note on Max Brooks, which is just a heartbreaker, absolute heartbreaker. I was so stoked when I saw that there was a good, reputable, sizable production company had bought the rights and was making the movie World War Z.
Oh yeah.
Because as good and as unique as the Zombie Survival Guide was, when Max Brooks followed that up with World War Z, again, you never read another book like it. It wasn't, it wasn't your typical fantasy novel. It was written from the viewpoint of this guy who was basically conducting interviews. And the timeline of the book is like, okay, the zombie wars are over. We won. We didn't, it wasn't a resounding victory, but we're still here.
We limped across the finish line.
And we're on our, we're on our way back. It's not that every single zombie in the entire, the world's a big place, and in the, it's almost like cover to cover, this book is like an epilogue,
Yeah.
And there's one section where they're actually in a submarine, because the only place where massive zombie hordes still exist on the planet is underwater on the seafloor. They're like,
Okay.
well, because all the big like mega swarms have been taken out. We're at the point where we're going like city to city, town to town. It's become commonplace to go in and clear out an area.
Oh, okay.
And either get the resources you need from it and then demolish it, or bring it back if the infrastructure is still good and everything like that. But yeah, there's this one guy who I think he was in the Navy, but yeah, he's driving this sub and he's tagging zombies underwater. He's shooting them with little harpoons that have like they're like he's tagging elk or salmon or something, just so they can track them. They don't have the resources to go down and eliminate a mega swarm, a mega horde, if you will, of underwater zombies, but they're also not bothering anybody. So we just we can just keep an eye on them.
Unexpected.
There's one passage in particular that I had to reread like 3 times over, and it was he was a loony bin basically. There's a whole lot of people who have succumbed to the stresses of the zombie, the battle, and but this one, the inmate that he's there to see, he describes her as how she could have easily been a pre-war supermodel, or a dancer, or just basically she's in her early 20s. She's drop dead gorgeous, just absolutely bite your hand off, holy crap, look at her. But she's also got the mind of a 6-year-old, because that's how old she was when the trauma happened to her, and for whatever psychological reason it locked her into that. And so you're basically hearing her recount of this particular part of the zombie war, so you're getting it from the perspective of a 6-year-old. But you're getting it from a 6-year. You're getting the voice of a 6-year-old is coming out of the just absolutely beautiful face. He's talking like red hair, green eyes, pouty lips, just top to bottom. Won the genetic lottery big time. but yeah, and how like the room that they're doing the interview in was heavily soundproofed. And then he finds out why about halfway through her telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go take an aside here. Obviously, the most dangerous thing that a zombie can do to you is bite you, claw you, kill you, right?
Yeah.
What is the second most dangerous thing that a zombie can do? And may arguably be the most dangerous thing.
Like a unreported zombie bite kind of thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-mm. The zombie bite, that's an immediate thing.
Okay. So we're talking
But
like PTSD kind of stuff?
Hmm?
Talking like PTSD kind of stuff?
No. The second or potentially most dangerous thing that a zombie can do is moan. That's in that 12-line subroutine program.
Okay.
Because that's part of, when they see something or hear something, whatever, if they recognize it as food and they start moving towards it, they also will let out a moan. That moan is a dinner bell for any zombies within earshot.
Gotcha.
So if a zombie moans, you're going to go from dealing with one zombie to potentially dealing with, on the one end, on one end of the spectrum, you're dealing with a single zombie. On the other end of the spectrum, you're dealing with a full-on chain swarm, which means that this zombie has seen you, has moved towards you, and is moaning, and now you've take out your sledgehammer and dispatch the zombie, but every zombie within earshot is now moving towards you and moaning, which means that every zombie within earshot of those zombies is now moving towards that sound and moaning.
It's basically a signal flare.
You see how it can spiderweb out,
Yes.
from there. So yeah, he's so she's giving the account of how, like, she and all of her friends, all of her little 6-year-old friends, they're being taken into the back of this church, people were barring windows, barring doors. The minister was trying to get everybody to calm down, and this is happening, that's happening, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, here they come!" And then there's windows breaking, and again, I had to read this thing like I read it, then I reread it, then I reread it a third time because I was actually, it was almost like I was watching a movie, because like she was mimicking the sound of the glass breaking, and she was doing it perfectly.
Okay.
Like she might as well have been Michaela Winslow from the Police Academy movies. She was able to do the sound effects with her mouth, with her embouchure, with her hands. She could just so. And then it got to the point in her telling the story where she's like, and that's when and then she stops and she looks at the doctor. "Can I?" And the doctor goes, checks the door, makes sure it's securely closed. And she says, "Okay, go ahead." And then she lets out the most perfect zombie moan, And that's why that room was so heavily soundproof, because if she had done that out in the open, it would have just incited a panic.
I'm sure of it.
Anybody else around? Oh God, you got to read these books. I'm gonna send them to you.
Heavy stuff right there, man.
Yeah. The Zombie Survival Guide is the kind of thing. Like I said, I got to the point, where we were, like I said a minute ago, we were talking about that. I got to the point where I was reading the book where I just had to put it down, like walk away and go, "It's not real. It's not real." This is a work of fiction.
Yes.
It's from the humor section, for God's sake. This is not real, because Max Brooks never breaks. He never lets go, and there's no little snippet in the middle of the book where he lets it go. This is all bullshit, right? No. This is a how-to.
Mm-hmm.
This is very dry. This is very matter of fact. It's zombies are real. There have been outbreaks in the past. There can be outbreaks in the future. This is what you need to do. If you don't do this, we can't be held responsible. It's on you. And then he actually references at one point when the interviewer is talking to a military higher up, saying was the survival guide helpful? And the general was like, yeah, to a point, you know. but the second book, the World War Z book, only shared the title with the Brad Pitt movie.
That's what I'd heard. I know that it was not well received by those that are familiar with the source material, and it was basically your standard zombie movie with a Hollywood.
No, that's just it. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Well, again, back to me being a Romero purist.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It was like the army ant zombies.
There was that, but there was also what is a zombie's only focus in their existence? To feed.
Yeah, obtaining food.
That's all they do. They go, they seek out uninfected human flesh and consume it. That's it. In World War Z, there was not one single devouring. Every victim in that movie was bitten and then abandoned.
Those aren't zombies.
Those aren't zombies. They were dead. You know, they had no heart function. You know, and if you blow their arm off or shoot their guts out, you know, they're still going to come at you. But they took this piece of art that was World War Z, the book, and turned it into they turned it into a Brad Pitt movie, which that's his prerogative, I guess. It's his money, it's his production company. He can do what he wants, but I really wish he would have done some justice to the actual original work.
So movies that need to be remade then.
Yeah. No, because I wouldn't call World War Z doesn't need to be remade. It needs a reboot. It needs to be done right from the start.
Wipe the palate clean.
You know? Yeah. Because it didn't even tell a story. You know, like I said, in World War Z, the book, the war was over. This was like a retelling of the zombie war from various points of view. In World War Z, the movie, you see the outbreak. You see it as it happens. You know?
Yeah.
So it needs to be rebooted, not redone, not remade.
Yeah.
Because to remake something, to me that means that you're retelling the same story. And they don't. No, don't do that.
Okay.
That one does not.
Gotcha.
That one does not.
Start
So
fresh.
let me ask you:
Fire away.
what movie has never been remade, rebooted, that desperately needs it?
Desperately needs it. Suburban Commando.
Hulk Hogan?
Do it with a rock. No, I take it back. Christopher Lloyd is actually pretty spot on with that one. I was trying to think of movies that set Super Mario Brothers. We have the technology now. We can make
I
a decent
100%
Mario.
agree.
Yes. Or, well, this has never been done, I don't think, unless you count maybe something like the anime or whatever. Legend of Zelda. Well,
I don't think there's ever been a feature film, animated or otherwise, with that particular property.
I thought there was something from Japan, but actually, now that I've said that, I take it back. Their timelines are so screwed up. Forget it. No, don't.
I think there wasn't like an episodic TV show that didn't do well.
No, there was. I remember seeing it. It was. It was like
I never saw it.
It was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and on Fridays you got a Zelda episode.
That's right. Yeah, that was right. It was horrible, right?
Oh, it was. That's where you get the "well, excuse me, princess" thing. Yeah. It was Zelda in vague appearance likeness only. It was not.
Let me hit you with one.
What you
got? Movie starred Marlon Wayans, a very young Marlon Wayans. You with me?
I think
No,
so.
you don't know. You don't know. You know what it is?
I'm thinking, is it Marlon? Did Marlon play Meteor Man?
No, that was Robert Townsend.
Robert Townsend?
Yeah.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, I saw part of that on like Comedy Central years ago when I still had cable. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was like, what the heck happened here?
Yeah,
Kind of like how Dungeons and Dragons had a cartoon in the '80s in the morning.
that was fun.
I
that was
did not
that was a fun
dislike
bit
that.
of animation there.
Yeah, the classes and stuff like that. But I know what you're talking about. I've seen bits and pieces of that travesty of a movie.
Yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons film
Mhm.
took some of the most long-lived and intelligent creatures in the whole, you know, scape of high fantasy, and turned them into mindless beasts. You had a bunch of red dragons on one side. You had a bunch of gold dragons on the other side. They were mounts. they were flying horses that could breathe fire. And yeah, that movie was that desperately needs to be remade. So next one, what movie would you willingly throw your body over to keep people from remaking or rebooting it?
I would say, I know it was a big thing in 2016, but it kind of seemed to take care of itself. For me, when I was a kid, I would come home and I would watch the real Ghostbusters. I loved the Ghostbusters movie. I loved the cartoon. That was my thing.
The real ghost, not the we've got ghosts to bust.
Not the
cartoon.
not the, what was it, Funimation or Fanimation or whatever that
The antagonist's
gorilla.
name was Primeval, which I thought was kind of cool, but it didn't save it. And yeah,
they had a gorilla for some reason. It was based off that live action thing from like the '60s. But yeah, I mean, for me, I've always loved Ghostbusters. Broke my heart when Harold Ramis died. Always loved Egon Spangler. That was my jam. I have high hopes for this. I guess coming out in March now. It was supposed to be in July. They pushed it back to March, I think. I have high hopes for it. I hope it works.
what is it?
They've got Ghostbusters Afterlife coming out.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
The
Okay.
trailer looks amazing. I am cautiously optimistic. I hope they don't screw it up, and if they do screw it up, I want Disney to buy Sony so they can get Spider-Man back and fix Ghostbusters 2. But I did not hate the 2016. Like how we said, there are good bits and pieces in Justice League. There were a few parts of Ghostbusters 2016 I did not hate. Part of that joke that, what's his name, Thor gives Hemsworth when he's, I guess, interviewing for the job of the secretary, and he looks at the fish tank and says, "Fish tanks are like submarines for fish," or something like that. That's funny. That's hilarious. That's a good line. But that's about the only thing in that movie.
Whatever little jewels or nuggets of awesomeness that might have been nestled into that film here and there,
It was like finding a diamond in a turd.
yeah.
But it's like cubic zirconia or something like that. It's like it's not even worth.
Yeah. So is it worth digging the turd out?
Probably not.
Digging the diamond out of the turd? Because
Paul Feig was not the right director.
it was poorly directed. It was horribly written.
Yes, the writing was god awful. The direction.
There was no shortage of acting talent.
Talent was through the roof, man. All those all the cast was, with the exception of the guy that played the Roland guy, the antagonist. I didn't care for him, but everyone else, I thought. Leslie Jones is one of my favorite. I love me some Leslie Jones. She's hilarious.
I do.
Kristen Wiig. What was the
Kate McKinnon is arguably, as far as SNL talent of all time, I would put her in the top 5.
Yeah.
I would easily put her in the top 5.
Yes, I thought that
Um,
it was just it's like if you take all the ingredients you need for, like, let's say a nice pecan pie. Just
okay.
a fantastic pecan pie.
Does that really have that many ingredients?
Just go with it.
Okay.
So you take the ingredients for a pecan pie and you use like an eighth of the filling you should use, and you use like 4 times the pecans you should have,
Hmm.
and you swap out the brown sugar or whatever for like alum or something. It's like, what the heck what happened? You had
Yeah.
all this money, you had all this talent, you had a built-in fan base of 30 years of rabid fans,
Right.
and yeah, took a dump right, and you took a dump around the screen. It was like, what was this? I mean, and at
I
the
think
very end when they tried to like tie it into Zool, I thought, okay, maybe maybe they'll go multiverse. Maybe that's what. Nope, nope.
there was so much potential that could have happened there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I
And Ozzy
okay.
Osbourne, why the hell was Ozzy Osbourne in that movie?
Yeah.
What?
I'm not a filmmaker, and
No, I'm not
off the
either.
top of my head, I was thinking when I heard, oh, there's going to be a, before I even heard that it was all female cat, blah blah whatever.
Yeah,
The first thing I thought of was, okay, Ghostbusters happened
yeah.
3 decades ago. Ghostbusters happened, and it happened in New York.
Hmm.
So the Ghostbusters, saved the day, but that doesn't mean that they caught every single
Of
ghost.
course not.
And there's also now proof positive across the entire planet that ghosts are real and they can be a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
So,
Whether they're ghosts or demons or whatever, however you need
whatever.
to phrase it to make
So
it
the
work.
the Ghostbusters are still there. When I heard that they were going to do a new Ghostbusters movie, the first word that popped into my head was franchise. Pick a city.
Yeah,
Pick any Chicago, Seattle, Dallas, freaking Hong Kong, whatever. It doesn't matter. They could be like, okay, here's a group of 4, 5, 6, whatever. Just working stiffs, you know. One guy who's the had good credit. Basically, purchased a license like you'd go if you wanted to open a McDonald's.
the
You have
franchise
to
rights
deal.
will make
You
us.
have to deal with the Ray Kroc family, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't his widow? I think she gets one of the things that happens if you open a McDonald's, if you're granted the right to open a McDonald's, is like the first $100 of profit that you make every day goes to her,
Probably so.
something like that. Yeah. Which $100 a day, that's not a lot, but how many McDonald's are out there?
Uh, They're
And
international.
yeah, and that you probably make that $100 in like the first 15 minutes that you're open
Oh,
anyway.
yeah,
So
breakfast alone, easily.
yeah, so yeah, I'm thinking, okay, so this guy took out a small business loan, bought a franchise license, and got a few friends, and they've been defending, the greater Denver area.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
their
trying to go from scratch as opposed to
possibilities are endless there.
yeah, trying to go from scratch as opposed to, hey, we've got one really good movie and one okay movie, and 30 years of comics and books and cartoons and video games and everything else that we can feed off on. No, we're going to go fresh.
Yeah.
These are the Ghostbusters that we're going to use, and
Yeah.
we're not going to acknowledge anything other than nod cameos, which is not.
And we're gonna take these 4 talented actresses and we're gonna turn them all into just
caricatures. No, everyone's trying to be Venkman. Everyone's trying to be
Just-
Venkman.
just bubbleheads. Every single one of them was a bubblehead, and then we're gonna take every male character in the movie and make them a complete and utter buffoon.
Yeah, there was a bit of
And-
that going on.
And yeah, and then oh god, Bill Murray, what part of your soul what did they return to you
I
to
don't-
force you to play that cameo?
I think
Yeah.
part of it was, I think there was legal action threatened. I don't know how he's still on the hook for doing this, but like there was.
Well, they were all in it though.
Yeah.
Aykroyd had a
Well,
cameo.
I'm sure. I mean, come on. I mean, nothing against Aykroyd. I love the guy. I know he's got a
Yeah,
little.
Ernie Hudson had a cameo.
Yeah, but I mean, and Ernie, I love Ernie Harrison. I mean, he's hilarious. Yeah, I remember he was cast in some show like 10 years ago. He's gonna be like the experienced cop training the new cop. He only got like one season. I can't remember what it was called now, but he is fantastic. But I mean, who wouldn't go back?
I've never seen him do a bad job.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I've seen him in bad roles. I've seen him in bad films. I've never seen him do a bad job.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a professional and he's damn good.
yeah, he is.
And
Yeah, no, I have high hopes for this next one. It's what's his name, Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's
fingers
son.
crossed.
Yeah, yeah. I hope it works. I really hope it works. It doesn't even have to be like Avengers good. Just give me something like, give me something Captain America, the first Avenger good. Give me something we can work with. Give me a starting point, and we can go forward.
Yeah, but again, Captain America, he had to save the world. He had to crash a plane and save the world. Don't start that. Don't start so big.
I just want success. Just give me a successful movie that we can build on.
Let's save Miami. Let's save.
Yeah.
Let's save one high rise, in San Diego.
What's it, Nakajima Plaza? What's the from Die Hard?
Yeah, Nakatomi. Let's
Save the school. Save the high school. Whatever.
Whatever.
Save the barn Victor one's parked in. I don't care.
Save the junior high school in Juneau, Alaska.
Yeah.
You could literally do it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the movie, everybody's when they're done patting themselves on the back, somebody pulls up a I don't know, like remember what I said, franchise. So like every major and most minor cities would have a Ghostbusters franchise.
Yeah.
They all got to be networked, right? So make that the post credit scene where everybody's having a beer, saying good job, we sure did save that mall, and then all of a sudden back behind them, where they got the map of the United States, all of a sudden lights start coming on.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, so something's cascading. Something happened.
The dimensional ley line is fractured.
Cheyenne, Wyoming is showing a yellow alert. Why is that doing that? And oh look, Atlanta's coming up, and
this is what this franchise needs an established lore master. And as much as I love Dan Aykroyd, it probably doesn't need to be him. It needs to be someone who can do the kind of like, all right, if we have to take Ghostbusters for the modern age, what can we incorporate? What can we not incorporate? Can you have a statewide PKE monitoring system? Yes or no? What are the pros and cons of having this kind of technology? Do you want to keep the story in the early to mid 90s so that we don't have to worry about cell phones and smartphones and everyone having a camera kind of thing? Is that gonna wreck how the system works? So like one of the best criticisms I always heard of like the whole ghost or real, ghost or not real thing is how come whenever there's a picture of a ghost they're wearing clothes? Did the clothes die too? I mean, why aren't they naked? If it's just a person.
Because much like they have an RSE, much like in the Matrix, they have a residual self-image.
I got you. Yeah.
That,
like an echo or an energy.
Plus, if ghosts can walk through walls, why don't they fall through the floor?
That too. Yeah. Right. Are they subject to gravity at all? Are they completely ethereal? Do they have gravity? Do they have mass?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
why can you hear their footsteps if they seem to only exist from the waist up, and they're floating? Why? Because footsteps are scary if you don't know where they're coming from, and they can get louder that make them scarier.
Yep. Fun stuff. So, I mean, but again, I have high hopes for that one. I hope it works.
So that you didn't really answer my question though.
What?
The question was, if you could sacrifice your body to throw it over one film and keep it moved from being remade or rebooted, because you brought up a movie that's already been remade and rebooted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like pick a movie.
I mean, before
It doesn't have to be one that you like. Just pick any movie that has never been remade.
well, Ghostbusters before 2016 would have been my answer.
Okay,
But,
well, this is 2020,
okay.
almost 2020. We got what?
What does not
We
need,
got 28 hours
right?
until 2021.
So what should not be remade?
Like, okay, nobody has ever remade or rebooted The Godfather. There have been other films in the same genre.
Do you count the sequels of
Yeah.
that?
Your good no, that's the difference.
Okay,
Sequel.
see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Sequel.
are we
Sequels
saying,
don't count.
are we counting like a cinematic? I don't mean Marvel cinematic, but would you count Godfather 1, 2, and 3 as one story?
Yeah, that's a trilogy.
Okay, I would not lay down and say Godfather just because Godfather 3 was pretty bad.
It was. Sorry, but I only brought it up as an example.
Sure. Okay.
Nobody has ever remade or rebooted The Godfather. There have been other films
okay.
in the genre. There have even been sequels.
We
They
mentioned
had
it earlier.
like Casino, Goodfellas.
We mentioned it earlier. I really don't think they should remake Braveheart. Not that they're trying to, but as inaccuracies that it has, feel about how you want to feel about Mel Gibson. I think it's a solid movie. I enjoy it. It's one of those movies. I know it's not historically accurate, but from a narrative standpoint, from a cinematic standpoint, I enjoy it. It's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
I would say that was one that should not be remade.
I got one.
Far away.
I will die on this hill. I will sacrifice my physical form if it keeps this movie from being rebooted or remade. If they want to do a sequel, that's a different thing. But to remake this movie would be nothing short of heresy. I would. It's not. I'm not going to say it's. I'm not going to say it's the best movie. I'm not going to say it's in the realm of all the greatest movies of all time. I will say that it is, as it is contained, it is a perfect film. Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest is highly effective at what it was trying to do. I think you are probably right. It was Galaxy Quest is fantastic. When I don't know how it did the box office, couldn't tell you, but stepping back and looking at it and what it accomplished and what it was supposed to do and what it was, I guess, trying to throw light on, it did perfectly.
No.
It you have Galaxy Quest so you can have Star Trek again, that kind of thing. No.
Well, it's just. I just don't know if it can be done again.
No, I don't think it can.
And when that's an important distinction. What I said 2 minutes ago on how, if you list the top 20, top 30, top 50 greatest movies of all time, Galaxy Quest isn't going to be in there.
No, of course not. It won't be.
It's
because
there are greater films, but there are those films, even though they're greater, they are less perfect.
We talked about how I forget who it was. So and so is not going to win any awards for their comic book movie. I think what was it? Did Joaquin Phoenix get something for Joker? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so aside from that, and special effects, comic book movies usually don't get special. Don't get that kind of recognition.
They win like best editing. And,
and cinematography maybe.
Well, I don't know. Return of the King won Best Picture.
Yeah, but I mean that's almost high culture at this point. It's approaching like Shakespearean kind of stuff, just with the reference to the source material. But like Galaxy Quest, what you're talking about, is a fantastic film in many ways, but
wasn't based on anything.
Exactly.
It was
based on it's parody. It's a parody.
Wasn't based
movie.
on a comic book. Wasn't based on a novel.
It's parody of Star Trek and the whole science fiction genre. That's the whole shtick about getting Buzz Lightyear and Ridley to be the Captain Kirk and Mrs. Kirk.
And don't forget Snape.
Yeah, and that's nothing. To take anything away from Snape or from Alan Rickman. I mean, them's fighting words right there. I know at some point they're going to have to do a Harry Potter again, but Daniel Radcliffe needs to be older to play Dumbledore. I mean, we're talking it needs to be a long ways off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But talking about the whole, no, I got you. I completely agree.
Not only that, Daryl Mitchell, the guy who played, shoot, I can't remember the character. Tommy, was it?
He was like the Wesley Crusher of the.
Yeah, he was the kid. He was the kid in the original series, and now he's an adult. He's Daryl Mitchell is the actor.
Yeah.
And he is in a wheelchair now. He was in a very bad motorcycle accident, and he hasn't had the use of his legs in like a decade or more.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So so Alan Rickman's dead. Daryl Mitchell's in a wheelchair. I don't. But I mean, Tony Shalhoub was magic in that role.
Dude, he is so underrated. Everything I've ever seen him in, he's fantastic in.
And oh, for the love of God, Dwight was in that movie. Dwight Schrute.
He was one of the aliens, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever he,
I think he had one line.
When he doesn't have his hair like that, it throws me. I can't identify him.
Yeah. Enrico Colantoni, what's his name?
No idea.
The guy who is the number one alien guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I wept when they were torturing him, they bring in the actors, and he's like, now, the captain is here. Now you will, be punished.
Yeah.
Oh,
the aliens.
Man, my heart is just splitting in half.
The aliens were the analog for the people.
He did that for this stupid science fiction PG-rated film, and he brought that. You brought that out?
Yeah, dude. Hey, look, Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn.
One more, and I don't even know the actor's name, but he died in Alan Rickman's arms at the because
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he's there, horking up blue blood, and when Alan Rickman says the line. Well, what was his character's name? Well, that's the funny thing. It's like, here's Alan Rickman, and then he's playing this character, but then he's got this character's character.
Yeah.
The character's character was Dr. Lazarus.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Dr. Lazarus, but then Dr. Lazarus was the character's character. The character was some famous, English actor, and who would have sooner shoved your face into an open fan than said that bloody line one more time. And then he digs it out, and then he's got this dying alien in his arms, and he digs it out, and it just split my guts in half.
His performance for that is just second to none. He's a Shakespearean actor. I mean, he knows how to do that right. Talking about that kind of stuff and pulling emotion out of these just ridiculous situations.
There are certain actors that can do that.
Yeah,
there's certain ones that can't.
I started to say something about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
James Gunn, what he was able to do with Rocket Raccoon of all characters, and Groot. I'm like, this is a CG raccoon and a CG tree.
Yeah.
And dude, when he starts telling the story about how he was, I didn't ask to be made and taken apart again and put back together with some little monster. Dude, that gets to you. And it's like, oh crap, this is a gun carrying varmint.
Yeah, this is an anthropomorphic mutant raccoon.
Yeah, I mean, so
anthropomorphic. I need to drink something, man. My tongue is getting all mushy. Yeah. How long have we been at this? It's 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna shut it down.
I can go. I can go all night.
I can't. I got to go to work tomorrow morning. But we can wrap things up. But yeah, no.
All right. Well, let me hit you with one more.
Fire away.
And what made this one special is because he did it in 2 words, and they weren't even big words. It was he did it. He got the effect out of you. He put the effect on screen and got the emotion out of you with 2 single syllable words, 6 letters all together combined. It was in The Two Towers. It was John Rhys Davies, and the defense force part of the caravan from Edoras, when they were moving all their people to Helm's Deep. The defense force, they went off and fought a bunch of warg riders, right? And Aragorn got dragged off a cliff.
Yeah.
Right. So, they're all filing their way. I think King Theoden was the first one in, and Eowyn is there, to greet him, and she's like, "Oh God, so few of you have returned."
I think I know the words.
But Theoden was like, our people are safe, and we paid for it with many lives, And then here comes Gimli. Here comes John Rhys Davies.
Yeah, I know the word.
And Eowyn turns around. And she's like, Lord Aragorn, where is he? And he fell.
Yeah.
Just explode.
Yeah.
Explode the feels. God damn you for making me feel that. Ugh.
Yeah.
It takes
honestly,
that caliber of an actor to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm not going to say he did it effortlessly.
No.
He did it with intent. He knew exactly what he was doing.
He's another Shakespearean. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
This sounds like such a corny thing
Are
to
you
say,
gonna-
but
Are you going to fan?
No, but that's just honestly, man. That's the power of art. That is what it is. It is the the purpose and the power of art is to invoke an emotional response.
Yeah.
There it is. Whether it's a painting, or a song, or a movie, or a book, or whatever, that's powerful stuff. It's incredible.
I missed out on a date. I was supposed to meet friends, and there was a girl that I was gonna, get to know. We were going to a movie, and I was at the Merrill Chase Gallery in the mall, where the theater was close to the mall, and I'm just walking around, and I see this. I see this Nearman painting. I think it was called Cosmic Forces. I don't know if you're familiar with his work. He does lithography. He's an abstract artist. Now, don't confuse him with Nearman. There's Neiman and Nearman. And I think Neiman is the one who paints like. He's got kind of like an impressionistic style, and he paints athletes and stuff. But there's Leroy Neiman. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Leonardo Nearman. And he had a sculpture and 4 other paintings there. But this one painting caught my eye. And
It's called Cosmic Force.
What's that?
Called Cosmic Force.
Cosmic Forces, I think, is the name of the. That's it. That lithograph, it caught me. I was transfixed. I ended up standing in front of that painting for 2.5 hours. And there was no way in the world I was going to be able to afford it, and I think maybe that's why subconsciously I was looking at it for as long as I was, because I had to memorize it. I would have loved to have taken it and put it in my home, and been able to look at it whenever I wanted.
Mine's not on the same level, but I kind of get you.
Okay.
At least I think I get you, and I'll say why I think this. Like, for me, like tessellations or tie-dye patterns or like oil and water type stuff, that organic kind of stuff. I mean, like
fractals.
yeah, fractals. Like, I mean, that's dude.
Whoa,
I love this kind of stuff.
that is some serious ink.
It hurt about 5.5 hours, but this kind of stuff, this organic, this fluid. I mean, you got all these different tones going on here and these crazy lines. I dig
It
this
spoke.
stuff. Yeah,
I don't know what else to say. It didn't speak to me. It frickin' sang.
Mm-hmm. All right, man, I get you. It's,
The only
almost
bad
like it's
part
an
of that
unspoken
2.5 hours, again, like I said, I missed out on a date. Might have ended up being able to get some smooches later in the evening, so lost that. But the other than that, the only bad part of the evening was this salesman. Like every 20 minutes would come and start talking to me, and he would like stand in between me and the lithograph and start pointing to parts of it, putting his hand in the way, saying, "I like how this," and he really does not. It's like, dude, leave.
Yes,
Just
go
let
away.
me. I'm trying to talk to the painting. Would you go away, please?
No, I hear you. It's almost like an unspoken spiritual kind of level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. One last thing.
Hit me.
All right. The variation on what you said earlier. Not a movie that should not be remade, but rather something that should never be made into a movie.
So like a book or
A property that I hope to God is never made into a movie or a cartoon or a series, because I don't think they'll ever get it right.
Okay.
I know you're familiar with this. Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, there's no way.
Can't be done. If it is to be done, it'll be done as poorly as Watchmen was done, and they won't get it right. It just no.
Comic strips can transfer. Comic strips can translate.
I don't know if they can get the. I mean,
I don't think that Calvin and Hobbes is one of them that can be.
yeah.
I mean, Garfield had a cartoon.
I enjoyed the Garfield Saturday morning cartoon, but that's where it stopped.
Dilbert had a cartoon,
Yeah, more of the heady adult stuff. Yeah.
but
Calvin and Hobbes. You know what they're going to do? If you let the wrong studio get hold of that, they're going to Minions it. They're going to Minions it. They won't Toy Story it. They'll Minions it. Or even if they Toy Story it, then they'll try and Toy Story it to death. Which I think they're working on Toy Story 5.
I don't want a voice.
Yeah. Well, that's
I don't
what
want
Watterson
to place on either one of those characters.
when he was doing because they were looking to license it, and because Garfield had done that and it worked for them, and I think the interview I read, one of his rare interviews, was like when they started trying to give Calvin a voice, an actual voice, like no, this is not going to happen.
I've got like an ethereal idea of what it sounds like when Calvin is speaking versus when he's speaking in the guise of like Spaceman Spiff, or when he's speaking as there one strip where he was just like this amoeba like monster thing, whatever, because they always cut to the last panel and it was like him eating dinner or something like that, where his mom was like, ugh. And Hobbes, I've got an idea in my brain of what Calvin would hear, when Hobbes was speaking.
Yeah. When he talks to Hobbes, it's got to be different from when he talks to everyone else.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like when
they should leave that the hell alone.
God, I hope they do. I hope they do. It's one of those things.
I actually, Calvin and Hobbes is one of two comic strips that I dare say I could have done the finale better, but that's
I think he was. I
like
think he was beyond done.
The final strip of Peanuts was just another comic strip. It didn't really tie anything up. If they could have had Charlie Brown kick the goddamn football,
no, can't do it. Sorry.
For once, I think that would have been an amazing way to end that. And for Calvin and Hobbes, I think the entire final 4-frame strip should have been an adult Calvin with his new bride Susie Durkins coming home for Christmas or Thanksgiving or something, and pleasantries are exchanged. Someone makes a joke, and then the last thing you see is Calvin going upstairs, and from a perspective inside his bedroom, there's Hobbs still perched, in stuffed tiger form, just leaning up against his pillow, and you got about this much of the door opening, and there's Calvin looking in from the hallway, backlit, and then that's it. That's the final frame.
I can see that. Yeah.
But they even did some decent animation for what's his name, Berkeley. I'm infested with freaking fruit flies. Berkeley. How do you pronounce his last name? Breathed.
Don't know that one.
It's spelled like breathed. His first strip was called Bloom County.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then that went into a strip called Outland.
Mm-hmm. His stuff was a lot of the political stuff, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like a Doonesbury, The Next Generation.
Yeah, it's like the character, like the human characters have usually like a very characteristic, like almost square kind of nose kind of thing.
Okay.
Maybe I'm from somewhere.
Well, maybe Milo Bloom, I think, did have kind of a snubbish, squarish nose, but like Mike Binkley had a pointy nose. His dad had a roundish nose, if I recall.
Right.
But yeah, there was a holiday special, like a Christmas special.
I think I've seen that.
I think it was called A Wish for Wings That Work. It was that was the Penguin, Opus.
The Penguin. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And but they didn't do the entire cast of characters.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't think you got to hear Milo Bloom's voice or Steve Dallas, the womanizing lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few of the animals, and I think Ronald Ann had a speaking part.
Yeah.
But so it can be done. It can be done if it's done right. It can be done well. But no, I'm with you. I don't think. What was I just talking about 5 minutes ago? Peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine, Christmas without the Peanuts Christmas special? That's
Yeah, I mean.
Or the was it it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Mm-hmm. Those two. I mean, they're a staple around here for sure.
But no, I don't think Calvin and Hobbes would ever work, because there was
That was.
I'm just going to say I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, I'll take that as a win. Okay. Well, with that, we're going to call a close to this. This has been JAPE HEX. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.